We've got to find a way to get Caitlyn out of here. Caitlyn is lost right now. I think she's been mentally tricked. We got to find a way. She's in the sunken place right now, y'all. She don't even see what's happening to her. She don't even see it right now. This is craziness. This is absolute craziness, man. I hope she does not sign this epic extension.
That raw frustration is not just a fan complaining. It is the sound of a breaking point. When you see someone so heavily invested in the game, literally pleading for a player to leave their situation, you know the toxicity levels have hit the ceiling. We are talking about the Indiana Fever, a team that has been the focal point of the WNBA all year, yet finds itself trapped in a cycle of internal friction that threatens to derail not just a season but the trajectory of its biggest star. The surface-level story is about basketball, but the deeper reality involves front office decisions, coaching philosophies, and a clash of professional cultures. Fans are not just frustrated because of a .500 record, they are frustrated because they feel they are witnessing a systematic mismanagement of Caitlin Clark's potential. Every time she is pulled from the floor or placed in a tactical setup that ignores her strengths, the tension on the court and in the broadcast booth becomes impossible to ignore.
Thing that's going on, I think Caitlin Clark is stuck in a sunken place right now. I think she's dizzy. I think she's blindsided, doesn't really know what to do. But this news coming through the pike definitely is an eye-opener, and we got to get into it.
The latest development that has the entire league buzzing centers on Connor McCaffrey, Clark's longtime partner. His recent move to take a coaching position with the Noblesville Boom, the Indiana Pacers G League affiliate, is the piece of the puzzle that changes the long-term calculus. For months, the speculation was whether Clark would demand a trade or force her way out of Indiana as soon as her rookie deal allowed. Now, with McCaffrey anchoring himself firmly in the Indiana sports landscape, the conversation has shifted toward a potential long-term extension. This isn't just a career move for McCaffrey, it is a signal. Following a 6-season tenure at the University of Iowa, 2 years as an assistant coach at Butler, and previous experience within the Pacers ecosystem, he is climbing the ranks. By joining the Boom, he is not only staying close to his partner, separated by a mere 40-minute drive, but he is also embedding himself deeper into the professional basketball infrastructure of the state. Fans who have been screaming for Clark to escape the Fever are now looking at this and wondering if she has already decided to stay, regardless of the current coaching dysfunction.
Let's get into it.
You know, it's coaching. It's what it is. I don't often think it becomes an issue if you're watching it in men's sports most of the time. And my relationship with Caitlin is great. Like, I love Caitlin. I ride with her. Like, we have a great relationship. And I think that the narrative of people trying to make it something that it's not is just, taking sensationalism to try to get some clicks and all the other stuff.
But here is where the narrative hits a wall of reality. Stephanie White, the Fever head coach, recently stepped into the line of fire to address the rumors, the tension, and the public scrutiny. She frames the relationship with Clark as a competitive fire that both sides are trying to harness, dismissing the outside noise as sensationalism designed for clicks. Her defense? That they are more alike than different, both driven, both stubborn, and both committed to winning. Yet this explanation ignores the visual evidence. When you see the constant rapid substitutions and the lack of a cohesive offensive scheme designed to maximize Clark's elite playmaking ability, the coach's words ring hollow to the diehard fanbase. It is a classic case of a veteran organization struggling to adapt to a generational talent who changes the very nature of how the game should be played. White claims they are challenging each other, but the viewers see a system that seems to intentionally stifle the exact creativity that brought millions of eyes to the league in the first place.
10 years ago when I was doing this, or 15 years ago when I was, however long it wasn't on social media. Like, that was just getting started.
Exactly. You was used to getting away with it. You was used to getting away with it.
Right? It happens in every sport. It happens in all walks of life. So this is not anything that's new, and it's not a story.
What we are witnessing is a clash between the old guard of the WNBA and the new high-pressure digital era of sports. 15 years ago, a player-coach disconnect of this magnitude would have happened behind closed doors, largely invisible to the public. Today, every grimace on the bench, every missed rotation, and every benching in the fourth quarter is dissected by millions within minutes. Stephanie White is correct that this isn't a new story in sports, but she is failing to acknowledge that the level of accountability has fundamentally shifted. The fans are holding the team's feet to the fire, and they are not backing down because they feel a deep personal connection to Clark's style of play. They aren't just watching a team, they are protecting an icon. When the head coach dismisses this scrutiny as a product of people just wanting clicks, she misses the broader truth. The audience has evolved, but the team's management strategy has not. This disconnect is the root of the sunken place narrative that has taken hold on social media, where fans feel Clark is being held back by a system that refuses to modernize.
I hope she holds the Indiana Fever feet to the fire and forces them to do right by her and to fix this team, move on from Kelsey Mitchell, find someone that's going to be committed to building a system around her and pushing her toward her strengths, not leaving her out to dry and die on her weaknesses. And with Stephanie White in charge, I don't see anything good coming from this. Get down in the comments.
As we reach the final stage of this analysis, we have to synthesize what this actually means for the future of the Indiana Fever. We have a star player who is seemingly committing to the location through personal stability, a head coach who is doubling down on a traditional approach, and a fan base that is increasingly convinced that the current partnership is fundamentally incompatible. The irony is that in their attempt to ride for their star, the organization is creating an environment where the star's best years risk being wasted in a sea of mediocrity. Consider the implications of this. If Caitlin Clark does indeed sign an extension, she is effectively tying her prime to the front office's ability to completely overhaul the roster and the coaching staff. This is not just about keeping a partner in the city, it is about leverage. Does she use this moment to force a change in leadership, or does she accept the status quo and hope for better chemistry next season? History shows that generational talents rarely tolerate subpar systems for long. We have to look at the numbers and the reality of the roster. A 500-level team in the WNBA is not a championship contender, and the current reliance on players like Kelsey Mitchell alongside Clark has not yielded the results the hype promised. If the Fever cannot figure out how to build a team that complements Clark's unique skill set, specifically by spacing the floor and creating actual offensive sets, then the sunken place won't just be a social media meme, it will be the defining narrative of her early career. Think about the contrast in media coverage. You have traditional outlets and local beat writers who defend the status quo, and then you have the new wave of independent analysts who are calling out the dysfunction. This isn't just a battle of opinions, it's a battle for the soul of the sport. If the team continues to ignore the valid criticisms regarding offensive pace and play calling, they aren't just losing games, they are losing the trust of the very audience that saved the league's ratings. Stephanie White's insistence that she and Clark are alike is a bold claim, but it is one that needs to be proven on the scoreboard. Being stubborn and competitive is fine if you are winning championships. When you are hovering at 500, those traits start to look like an inability to adapt. The coaching staff is effectively on a ticking clock, and every game that ends in controversy only makes the volume of the critics louder. The business side of this is even more complex. The league is currently experiencing a massive influx of capital and attention, largely driven by the Caitlin Clark effect. If she is unhappy or if her brand is diminished by an underperforming team, it impacts the entire WNBA ecosystem. Investors are watching, sponsors are watching. The league's growth is tied to the success of its stars, and right now the Fever are failing to deliver. So, where do we go from here? The most likely scenario is a tense offseason followed by a high-pressure start to next year. If the Fever do not make significant roster changes or pivot their tactical approach, the calls for a trade will only intensify. Fans are tired of seeing their favorite player held back by outdated tactics and a lack of accountability. They want to see a system built to win, not a system built to exist. Ultimately, the responsibility falls on the Indiana Fever front office. They have the most valuable asset in the sport. If they don't know how to use her, they need to find someone who does. The window for a championship is small, and every day spent on internal tension and poor chemistry is a day wasted. The fans are already voting with their engagement, and they are telling the Fever in no uncertain terms that they are not satisfied. If you are Caitlin Clark, at what point do you stop trying to make a broken system work? At what point does personal loyalty to a city or a partner become secondary to the need to play at the highest level possible? These are questions that will haunt the Indiana Fever until they prove they can actually win. The reality is that the league is moving forward, and if the Fever choose to stay in the past, they will be left behind, regardless of who they have on their roster. The controversy is far from over. In fact, it is just beginning. As we look toward the offseason, keep a close watch on any front office moves. If the coaching staff remains untouched, you will know exactly where their priorities lie. And if the fans continue to voice their outrage, it will be because they know what is at stake. Pick a side, and let me know in the comments. Do you think this ends with a championship run in Indiana, or is this destined to be a missed opportunity of historic proportions?